So this is the 9.0.5 patch for World of Warcraft. And this is specifically focused on multi-boxing. This is what I'm really excited about. There's a lot of good changes happening. And if you're thinking about coming back, this is a good time to do it. 9.1 coming up is how also introduces flying, and it's really easy to get. Also good, but right now we got some really good stuff. And this patch is coming a lot faster than we expected. It's coming out next Tuesday. If you're watching this, it's probably already live on YouTube. But here's what we got in store that's good for us, right? Oh, cool. It looks like there's a mount coming out, the tree mount. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, we got the peanut gallery behind us. You got to ignore that. So we're going to find the class changes in a second. We'll focus on the classes that we typically multi-box. But first, I want to talk about like the dungeons and raid changes and things like that. Kind of the big thing. This hurts us a little bit. But overall, if you're gaining your keys organically, it's not too big of a deal. But the way that Mythic Keystones worked is whatever your highest key that you actually did, you'd get a key level lower than that. So, for example, if you did a +10 and you finished it on time, or even if you finished it, your next week key would be a 9. And if you did like a 7 that week, your next key of that chest or the Great Vault would still be a 9. That was a really cool change that they made in Shadowlands. They're reverting that change, and it's going based off of what your key was completed for that week, and then it slowly degrades over time unless you keep it up. Good with the bad, right? The good with all this Mythic Plus dungeon rewards, though, is we're getting Valor points, right? Valor points similar to what we experienced in previous expansions, and that's where basically it's almost like Conquest for PvP, where you do activities. Like it includes callings or any kind of Mythic Plus. I mean, there might be some other ways to get it as well. You get points, right? And there's a cap, and then every week the cap goes up higher on there. But you take the items and you can upgrade the items from Mythic Plus dungeons and make them up higher. So they start off at eye level 200. You can upgrade them to like an item. If you complete all 5 dungeons at a +5, or no, sorry, all 8 dungeons, and you complete at least the Mythic 5 in each one, you can start upgrading those items to 207. And then it goes from there to a plus. You have to complete all 10 and then all 15. And when you get to finally to Keystone Master, which is completing all 15 dungeons. Here it is. You get to 213 item levels and then 220. Is what you can upgrade those items to, which is pretty awesome. The cost for upgrading items is a little high, it feels like, but I think overall it's going to work out. It's another way for us to upgrade our items. The biggest, most massive change about all this, though, is it looks like, and I'm pretty sure it works this way, is that you only need to do this if you're multi-boxing and all your characters are on the same Battle.net ID, the account sharing like that. You're going to have that to where you get it done on one person, and everybody in your group can now upgrade their items to that level. So like if you completed the achievement to where you did all 8 dungeons as a +10 or higher on any character, you can upgrade those items to a 213. That's pretty massive, right? That's going to be like something to look forward to. And even if you multi-box and like you're struggling on it, you could literally just go into one player. I would suggest doing like a tank, because tanks get the groups the easiest as well as healers, and then just knock it out, right? Like just like boom, just do like the flavor of the month tank, like a Vengeance Demon Hunter or like a Resto Shaman or something, and just boom, get it done, and just start upgrading your characters like crazy on that. That's a massively good change for us. Torghast changes. They're making they buffed a lot of the powers in there, and for the anima powers, so that's going to make it even easier for you. They also give you an eye level suggestion to tell you kind of what you should expect and how difficult it is. It's a little accurate, but even then, like doing a layer 8, the regular ones, that you can still do them even at like a eye level 190 or 185, which is pretty easy to get now, especially if you do the storyline stuff. So that's all of those, like, kind of like overarching things, right? So we're going to kind of focus on a couple of things here that I want to talk about. Death Knight. If you plan on playing a Death Knight tank, one of the good items to look at here is their legendary. Here we go. The legendary. This is the big one right here. This. Hold on, give me 1 second here. I'll close the door for a hot second. Kids are being noisy. Okay, That was fun. Everybody always likes an intermission, right? Okay, so the biggest thing for Blood Death Knight is they get this new legendary buff upgrade for Crimson Rune Weapon. That one is going to be pretty massive. It's not a fire and forget completely, but it creates a very, very large survivability for them. So if you're thinking about playing Death Knight, they became quite a bit more viable for that. Let's see, Hunters. BM Hunter, right, is one of the Beastmastery Hunter is the bread and butter of the Trinity comp for multiboxing, and they got a significant change here in their legendary ability, which is right here. This one right here, this Rylak Stalker's Piercing Fangs. This was previously 20% increased critical damage for using Bestial Wrath on your pet's crit strikes. It got buffed up to 35%, almost double. So you should see Beastmastery Hunter damage go up by a decent chunk. I'm not sure what that's going to end up being overall, but it's going to make BM Hunters even more competitive. Right? Obviously, it's really nice to get the buffs and things like that on there. MM Hunters are getting a little bit nerfed in some areas, but Beastmastery Hunter, which is kind of like what we really enjoy playing, is good. On top of that, the Kyrian ability, which is Resonating Arrow, and the Night Fae ability, which is Wild Spirits, are pretty hard to pull off because they're mouse over ground targeted abilities at AoE. So we haven't typically used those a lot, even though they are the best to use. The nice thing is Necrolord and the Venthyr ability both got buffed. So if you take either of those items, it's gotten a lot closer, right? So Death Chakram for Necrolord is a 15% damage increase. Super cool, right? That's what I'm using right now just because of the ease of use. And the Venthyr Flayed Shot also got a pretty significant upgrade on there where it lasts between, instead of 14 seconds to 18 seconds, and it also costs no focus when it procs. It also, when it procs your kill shot for free, the kill shot also does 25% more damage. So the Venthyr might even be better for single target on there. On top of all that, though, the Necrolord ability, which is the Fleshcraft, which puts the damage absorb shield on, went from 4 seconds to 3 seconds, and instead of it giving 20% baseline absorb, it just gives the automatic 40% damage absorb every 2 minutes, which is also massive. It makes Necrolord not so much of a meme kind of spec, but it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. So next thing we got here, let's see. I think that's it for Hunters. I'm really excited about Hunters, right? Let's see. Next class on the list. Monk got some interesting changes for us. Nothing too crazy. But it looks like they're going to be a little bit nicer. The healing side of things, the mana cost has gotten down a little bit. They still have pretty big mana issues. The legendary powder for tanking is interesting. That one of the issues we have is being able to efficiently tank sometimes and just face tank. And this Mighty Pour looks like it might be a potential choice, right? Where it makes when you do use Purifying Brew, has a 35% chance to not consume a charge. It was 25%, and then it also increases your armor by 50%, which it was 25%. Makes you quite a bit more tanky. Interesting on there. So we'll see how that pans out. Overall, I'm kind of on the fence on monks right now. I kind of want them to work, but I don't know. They're okay. I'll save Shaman for last, or the one I'm most excited about. The warrior class changes, though. These are interesting for us as well. If you're thinking about using a warrior tank, Necrolord has gotten a significant buff on there, right? It's a 2-minute cooldown where it grants 400 mastery to yourself and 2 nearest allies, right? So hypothetically, hopefully it goes to your DPS characters and your tank. It's a pretty strong group cooldown, which you're always in a group in the first place. And on top of that, the warriors got a pretty cool legendary because they're kind of the worst tanks right now, but this could make them a extremely strong tank. And their legendary that they got upgraded was called reprisal. And this is really cool, right? Because every time you charge in or you intervene, you get a shield block, a revenge, and you generate 20 rage. Like it automatically just makes you like boom, like you're just good to go, and you're not taking a lot of damage, and you get rage out of that process, and you're doing damage at the same time. Like, and so you can basically like charge in and then jump out and charge again if you need it, or intervene to there's a lot more options with that. The reason I'm considering the Warriors in the first place is they get Battle Shout too. So if you're using the Trinity comp, and Trinity comp just as an ease of terminology here is a tank and then 3 DPS and a healer, right? But typically it's always the 3 DPS or always triple hunter. You can use something else, but the hunters, the Beastmaster hunters, are the best for us because they use all their abilities while being able to move. So movement is a very, very hard thing with multiboxing and being efficient, and that makes it happen. So I'm excited about even buffing that team further. So I'm excited to see how this is. I'm going to be leveling this team up. I don't know if it's going to be the team, but we're going to give that one a try. So that's the warrior kind of things, right? That's what's going on with them. So some pretty interesting upgrades. Like we'll see how that goes out. Now the Shamans got some pretty significant buffs for us. The biggest issue I've only done, I think, a Mythic +4 on the Shamans currently, whereas other teams I've done up to a 9. So they've been lacking on that side. Their single target damage feels pretty good. It's pretty good, right? And when the Shaman comps that I think of is you use a tank, typically I've used a Paladin, or we've also seen Vengeance Demon Hunter, and you use 4 Elemental Shamans. So it's a very DPS heavy thing, because with 4 Ele Shamans, you can also just off heal at the same time. Your off heals are you throw up some Earth Shields, you can put them on the tank, and you have Healing Stream Totems just thrown on the floor, and then you can just use a quadruple chain heal, pretty much just tops your entire team off. So a 2.5 second cast on your whole team. You sacrifice DPS during that window, but your whole team it's completely stabilized. Now you also get Chain Harvest too if you're going Venthyr, and that's also an offensive/defensive ability, and that's even stronger as a heal on that part. So that's how the comp works, right? Now the biggest weakness they have is their AoE is absolutely atrocious currently in the cleave. So like when you're doing a dungeon or a Mythic Plus and there's a timer, like your AoE was just felt bad. Like typically when I would get a pack, my AoE damage would be worse than my single target. It almost felt more efficient for me to just single target each mob down, which didn't make any sense at all, right? So the changes though is we'll get to it real quick. Is Chain Lightning got buffed by about 35%, I think, right? So Chain Lightning has 35% more damage, which is already huge, right? That's a big deal, because the biggest weakness we've had though is just killing a bunch of mobs at the same time. The biggest thing though in this whole thing is that Earthquake got a 70% damage increase. Now Earthquake is kind of hard to use though, because it's targeted, right? So like on your follower Shamans, like you need to make sure that the mouse is in the right angle and they're all thrown in the same spot, and you can't really move the mobs around. So it's still going to take some finesse, but going like, so if Earthquake and Chain Lightning is my bread and butter, and I'm doing like, let's say close to 3k DPS, right? Like as an AoE on a pack, hypothetically I should see those numbers jump up to maybe like 5k or higher AoE DPS. I'm talking like a 3-pack or a 4-pack of mobs, which greatly increases the amount of time that you burn things down and clear through a dungeon. It should increase things significantly. Now the change is Lava Burst is getting nerfed by 10%. They're offsetting that by increasing the damage Earth Shock by 30%. Overall, it's kind of a wash. It's kind of a wash, honestly, on that part. But the biggest thing again is their AoE and cleave is getting buffed, and that's where they felt super, super weak for us. I'm really excited to dust this team off and then try them again. So that's kind of over the overall things that are going on with Shaman changes. So, with that, there's a bunch of different teams I want to try out. I never have enough time to do all these, but I think if you're on the fence again on anything like that, 905, lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff happening. So let me not talk your ear off there, and I'm just going to get back to gaming myself. But that's coming out really soon, and if you're watching this, it's probably already live. And I hope to see that the Shamans...
I don't need you. I have 4 friends.
I hope the Shamans are the way to do it. So that's my recap for 905. I'm going to go